It gives me low days. When you come across a campaign that's lacking in so many places, but it was done by a person who is a digital manager. The conversation was led by people who actually understand digital for that company or brand, but yet whatever they put out misses out on so many things. What does that tell you? We either don't know who we are hiring, or we don't do enough due diligence, or we don't actually look deeper. We spoke about this briefly when I just walked in. There are so many digital practitioners right now. But if I asked you to just name 5 categories, you might be limited.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the podcast segment on marketing, where we bring amazing leaders, influencers in Uganda's marketing ecosystem that help us demystify paradigms, help us understand concepts that will help us in our brand's marketing. So today, digital is the topic, and we have a guru. He was telling me earlier he doesn't think he's a guru, but he is one of the pioneers of digital. You Google digital, you must find Ian Kiryowa somewhere. And I must commend you for the work you've been doing. He's one of the thinkers, but also doers. He got a conversation out of WhatsApp and got people to actually form a whole Uganda Digital Society. We're excited to hear about that today and learn a thing or two. Welcome, Ian, to the podcast.
Thank you, Aggie. I think you mentioned it's been a long time coming.
Yes.
Busy schedules, clashing, prior engagements.
We're glad you're
here. But I'm now happy to be here.
Yes. How did you get into marketing, if we can start there?
A bit long.
Okay, we have time.
I graduated as an IT person, but then the first batch of people to do BIT, but then I think I got bored along the way. I didn't get the fulfillment that I thought I would get out of it. So I veered off and ventured in on a personal discovery. So I get into music, I get into entertainment spaces, I get into DJing, I get into lots of different things. So there was a website at the time, it was called Music Uganda. So Music Uganda was your only entertainment and lifestyle resource at the time. That was digital. So it intrigued me at the time. And what really piqued my interest was they seemed to look at Uganda as Kampala. So everything they wrote about, everything they covered, their content was basically Kampala. I was in Jinja at the time, and we have a pretty vibrant community of people that I entertain. The couple of producers who have come from Jinja and settled in Kampala. The couple of soccer people, so much talent, and no one actually spotlighted it. So I'm like, okay, there's an opportunity here. With my IT background, with my entertainment love now.
And your curiosity.
Yes, I created an online publication. Initially, it was called 043entertainment.com. 043 being the dial code for Ginger.
Okay.
Yeah, but then after 1 year, it didn't seem like the name worked.
Search engine wasn't optimizing.
It wasn't, and at the time, I hadn't really delved into the technical bits of what you're doing right now. But for me, I just felt no one was discovering the name. No one was really interested in the name. Nothing really sparked that curiosity. Yeah. In that break is when I met a friend. Right now, he's based in Abu Dhabi. He's called David. Yeah. We sat again over beer. I'm like, okay, what can we think of that will actually work? So we had a couple of nights out, and we came up with a name. That was Skiza. Skiza is from your Swahili word sikiriza. Listen, for us we just speak Skiza and we try to urbanize it. And we went with that name. And the idea was that there's Ginger here. Please see what we are doing here. So we worked with that. It worked for a time. It was really a passion project. We didn't make so much money off of it. Actually, we didn't make any money off of it. It was constant investment. Friends coming along the way. I need to support your project. So we ran it until 2022. And why 2022? In 2021, during the COVID, the lockdown, I got an offer to join I&M Bank, and I got pretty busy.
Yes.
Passion project is usually
the first one to get
good enough, you're not making money, bad enough, we are losing a property.
Yeah.
But it will come up for some other time. So that's how I now get into the social bits of marketing, the digital bits. I designed websites, so that was my first entry. I'm also a graphics designer initially, so that also helped. So that's how I get into now social media. I worked with a couple of clients. The last client I worked with before joining the bank was Events Warehouse, who I had worked with prior doing my entertainment surgery. So I worked with them in 2006 towards the Chogama event. Then I went off again, came back around the lockdown. And when the lockdown is that they had a couple of events lined up. Client AGM, conferences, weddings. And here we are now, we couldn't do anything. So I was tasked with coming up with ways of how they could move on in that time. I joined the team again, worked on some pretty amazing campaigns and events. The Rota District Conference, I think the first digital one, pretty massive. We have attendees from not only Uganda, not only Africa, but across the globe. And it was being 100 years. So I had that, then the call to join the bank came in. I joined the bank. So I could say in a nutshell that my journey started from taking a degree that didn't work out the way I wanted to work out. Yeah. Then I jumped out, tried to discover myself through different things. Found a way of how I could merge my passion with what I had studied back then. Yeah. And also now finding a new vibrant space, which was now digital marketing. Yeah. I joined the bank and it was rebranding from Orient Bank to I&M Bank. They needed a person who could support with the digital and creative bits. I'll be honest with you, I didn't get in because I had masters. That's basically because of what I knew. And I realized that, okay, I easily get bored. Will I be able to get into another bank with just my skills? I noticed it wouldn't work. That's how I get into CIM now. Yeah. And with that, whatever I know, whatever I've learned along the way, CIM has only helped me to structure it. Yeah. That is, you've been doing ABC, you had to change your name from 04 Entertainment to Skiza. At the time, I didn't even know I was changing, but I just knew something. So with CIM now, you get to see that, okay, everything I did in my journey, there was a story behind it. So that's where we are now.
It's beautiful.
So for the last 3 years, I've been in a couple of communities. And I think it's one of the communities where we met.
You have made a name for yourself. Just looking at that journey from when you started out at university and then morphed into music, events, then banking, and now a community of thriving digital marketers in general in the whole country. That's impressive. So you have made your name. He's thought out by most brands as a digital marketing strategist. I was checking out LinkedIn and I was seeing a lot of recommendations of, I think it was Joan or someone who said, oh yes, we were talking about this. And then Ian suggested that we take it out to the WhatsApp group. So the chat left the WhatsApp group and then Uganda Digital Society was formed, which was great. You are a community manager at DataMine. What is top of mind right now? What are the trends you're noticing today, 2025, that weren't there a few years ago?
I think there are a couple of trends actually happening. They could be even over 20. But again, it's what people are picking on. And I think people have picked on AI. And that's been on for the last, 2-3 years. A lot of minds are on AI and there's a lot of conversation. But trends that I think I've picked a lot of interest in, I could look at probably 3. One, customer experience focus. In marketing, your first business, your biggest brief is around the customer. You're going to support the business, you're going to pay huge money, you're going to run huge budget campaigns for the customer. So back then, a lot of brands have been doing things. We need to hit the bottom line, we need to rack up the revenue, we need to increase the profit after tax and those things. But now, there's a new trend that's coming up where people are caring about those metrics, but also having a customer first focus. It's a really beautiful thing for me because it then means we are now getting to the professional bits of marketing. But right now, every person you speak to, customer focus, customer first, customer centered.
It's a win-win situation for both company and customer.
With marketing, unlike sales, I could come and sell you a phone. My business is I want your money. I don't care whether you earn the money. I don't care where you get it from. I don't care whether you're interested in the product. Mine is about the money. Because I want to make that sale. For marketers, the thinking is different. First of all, I want to understand. Does she need the phone? If she needs the phone, what does she use it for? What would be the things she's interested in with that phone? Is it the camera? Is it a long battery? Is it the look and feel? We move that extra mile and look at this person, profile them, then try to suggest things that fit into their life. Then you begin having this person on your radar for a long time. Because you're going to buy today, buy tomorrow, buy the other day, recommend your people, recommend your brand. When you move that out of your business, when you remove the customer out of your primary focus bits, you're losing out on long-term business. Yeah. I think that's where now things like sustainability marketing are coming in. Beyond the sale today, what happens tomorrow? So for me, when I see a trend like customer experience focus, it's really something that I want to pay attention to.
I love the point you make now because there's a lot of emphasis on experience. There's still need for training on service, on customer service, because CS and CX could be quite different. But also, when I was doing the research and when preparing for this episode, someone mentioned that they saw your status, right? Because you love clarity. Just to build up on this point, they said you're asking on your status, do you have clarity for what your company does? Do you have clarity for what you do? Do your customers know what you do? So I think it all goes down to understanding, really get zeroed down to what you're saying. What does a customer want? Where are they? Just so you understand, to serve them better, to give them a better experience.
You need to understand that you're not a monopoly.
Some people are still monopolies.
Unless you're a highly public good, things like you EDCO now, but still there are alternatives. There's solar, there's biogas and other things. You need to understand you're not a monopoly. You need to understand that customers are the people who have the money you want, and they have a choice. This is to help them make a choice that favors you. You're supposed to do all the things that pull her to you. So customers need to understand, what do these guys do? You yourself need to understand, what do we do? I usually give the example of hangouts, because again, I find a lot of comfort in good hangouts. Governor doesn't sell alcohol. Governor doesn't sell music. They sell an elitist experience in a bar. So when you go there, they'll make sure that the music that they play suits the elitist experience they want to sell to you.
Is it still open though?
Yeah, they opened again, bit inconsistent. It will confuse a lot of people. They closed there sometimes towards at the beginning of the year. Then I think they thought, so for the last 3 or 4 weeks, they've been having parties. I could say they opened again. So when you profile governor, or when a governor representative comes and says, we sell alcohol, they don't know what they're selling. The same thing comes to us. What does Aggie sell? What do you do? What do you do? Yes, I have a title. I'm a digital manager, I'm a digital committee manager, I'm a strategy consultant. For clarity, I'm a storyteller, and I help people tell their businesses to online communities in a profitable way. That's what I do.
Very well.
When I understand that, it will help me do everything, zeroing back on that. For me, the thing about customer experience, I want to look at it even bigger than AI, in my opinion. And I think everyone should, because AI is going to become a way of life. You won't escape. It won't be an option. With customer experience, it's an option. You either want to do it or not do it. But if you do it, chances of you having a sustainable business model are really high. The other trend that I've also seen come up that's interesting is social commerce. You've seen those ads on where people are selling stuff. It leads you to WhatsApp, you have a conversation with someone. The beauty about this is that we now have people, entrepreneurs or small businesses, small players, now leveraging the power of digital to actually sell. Back then you had to have a shop. Your shop has to be in a very nice place, so you have to make investments. If you're selling shoes, put up a very nice display. But right now, what you need is your phone, take very nice photos, use probably Canva or some design tool that you're comfortable with, put up something, on Instagram, maybe pay about $1 per day, or depending on how much you can afford, and you have business. So that means your niece, your young sister in university right now, doesn't need to wait to get out of university to actually get a job. Besides that, it's also helping those entrepreneurs who are like, I don't know, I can't compete with those big boys. I'll try to sell to small-time customers. Online, your customers are diverse. I recently bought trainer shoes. They go for about 100,000. I bought them at 60,000.
Same brand.
Same brand, same quality, 60,000.
Wonderful.
All I had to do was have my internet, have my curiosity, look up these guys. Yes, where are you? I dealt them, I deliver, I look at them, try them on, they fit well, I pay this money.
Amazing. We have so many options now that we are at our best A game.
I love whiskey. Again, for one thing, okay, let's not go to the
No. We want to hear it. We want to hear it. We want to hear the stories.
Like I mentioned earlier, I love the nightlife, the lifestyle space, but then it's pretty expensive. I can't afford to be in Ghana every week. Whether I earn money or I don't earn money, I can't afford to. I can't be at Mezzo every day.
I still haven't been to Mezzo.
Catch up with friends, listen to nice music, and have a drink. Have a home theater, pretty good sound system. I can call some friends over. Now, the only thing missing is alcohol. I can easily get it from the shops outside, small bar. But then I realized the experience at home isn't the same experience in Hangouts. Personal decisions again, I realized I was spending a lot on beer. I'm not buying to impress anyone. Things of bring a crate of beer. I'll buy my bottle, I'll buy my shots of whiskey and go home. But now if I want whiskey, I can get it home. Where I pay 400,000 for a bottle, I'm going to get it at 160. Who benefits? I benefit. The guys who distribute this benefit. The only person not missing out is probably the hangout. But of course, they are not so many people like me. So that's where the bit of now social commerce comes into play.
Yeah. We had a guest on a podcast a while ago. He was the head of digital banking in Sub-Saharan Africa, and he was telling us during COVID, anyone who is not operating online, you're going to go out of business. And then it sounded like a threat. Yeah. But to be honest, after or during COVID, people then started going on to social, and you thought, oh, it's possible.
Yeah. Actually, I have a friend, Albert. Yeah. We were having a conversation some time back, and he told me their best campaign, and I think it was the best campaign at that time, the 2 years. Was their club, I think it was, I can't remember the name exactly, but they brought beer to you. Because this was locked down, but it didn't mean that people couldn't enjoy it. So you just had to place an order. And what they had to do for them was monitor where is traffic most, where do you need riders, where do you need to have a constant stock. So it changed how things play. And I think most of these trends are coming in after COVID because it now showed people are looking for convenience. Again, it goes back to the customer. Once you don't understand your customer, you go out of business.
Speak to the customer in terms of digital.
I'm not really going to call out brands, but the basic principle is understand your customer. It's that simple.
Help us understand the digital consumer in Uganda. Give them a persona.
Don't even look at them as a digital customer. Look at them as a customer.
Okay, a customer.
Business is people-centered. You have the owners, you have the employees, you have people. You have customers.
Sure. Like they have to be online.
No, it's the same nuances.
Yeah.
The only difference is that how you're approaching them. Out of 10 people, my customers might be 7 because they own the phones that I can reach them out on social smartphones. But they are the customers.
Some factors go into play, like affordability of internet services or smartphone.
I was surprised the guys in downtown Chicago do a lot of business and guys are online. It doesn't mean that any of them is lesser than the other. No. You reach out to both communities.
Sure.
When I'm really working on strategies, I don't want to look at digital customers. Yes, I look at them as a segment that we need to take the communication for, but ideally looking at customers. It's what I talked about earlier on.
Yeah.
You have a podcast. The original idea of a podcast was an audio platform, but you also say things have now changed.
Yeah.
So just imagine you're profiling your customer as a digital person interested in audio only. You're going to miss out the guy who reads. You're going to miss out the guy who watches. I'm not saying you should do it that way, but I believe in understanding this customer first thing, you need to move away from looking at them as customers online and customers offline. I have a proficiency in digital marketing, but I realize a year or so back, I'm a marketer. Irrespective of whether I'm coming up with offline campaigns or online.
Predominantly you are a marketer, that I agree. But what I don't agree in terms of mapping the persona, who exactly consumes, for example, your services, which are digital, you'd be shooting your wings so far if you're generally targeting everybody. But digital is quite specific. These people have a smartphone, they can access the internet. I'd love to break down the persona's details to the T, to their mannerisms. If someone is targeting, say, digital trainings, you're going to definitely look out for a specific group of people who are equalized by a smartphone and internet.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not looking at you targeting everyone. I'm looking at you having your customer audience mapped out.
Yeah, clarity on the customer.
On the customer. Yeah. Digital is a channel. It's a medium of reaching out to these people.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to get me wrong. I look at it as a media.
Yeah.
The same person could read a newspaper. The same person could be interested in these roadshow tracks.
Yeah.
The same person could be interested in actual conversations with people.
Yeah.
The same person could be on a smartphone. We have people with smartphones who only use them for receiving calls. No WhatsApp, no Facebook, no nothing.
And you're well conversant with tools that give you analytics, back-end analytics.
Even when you map out that digital customer audience of yours, you find out people who actually you missed out or people that you need to drop off. But again, this comes from, yes, you put out a communication ABCD, you had a campaign ABCD. We were targeting and we hope to reach a certain amount of people. We either reached it and overshot, so that shows you that you might have missed out some people.
Yeah.
Or we didn't hit the number we wanted.
Yes.
So you now go back and refine.
Yeah, it's a trial and error.
And it's a constant trial and error because what interested me last year is not what's going to interest me this year.
Very conservative.
If you fail to follow your customer, understand their nuances, understand their behavior, understand their changes, you're going to lose out.
So where is the gap for these brands not to lose out? What are the opportunities that they can tap into just so they are up to date with their customers, tap into the digital opportunities, give them better experiences? Where do people invest their time, money, and effort?
I'll tell you this, and I want it to be general. We've seen huge growth in internet penetration. There's an opportunity.
Yeah, still.
2, the COVID lockdown was a nightmare. It was at a macro global stage, but it also presented an opportunity to now get to customers and understand, okay, these guys have been coming to my place, but what do they actually want? Convenience, choice, through that a lot. So when you understand, when you appreciate that the internet penetration has really gone high, there's an opportunity to make money.
Or also more investment in the internet infrastructure.
Okay, that's not a government level. I think it just needs to be a policy direction.
But also private investors. I think there's still need for solid internet service providers.
Again, it comes from the government side. These players are going to be in the make investments, but if you don't have a policy that supports that growth, you guys will come in and drop off. And I think we've seen a couple of services where we felt we needed them, but then maybe we didn't need them. You know? Or then someone came and showed us that we need them, and government failed to support. These guys walked out. There are bits of where government needs to come in, and I think that's really at the structure and the innovation policy levels. But the opportunities for now, business owners, users, for me, the first thing is there's an opportunity to make money. There's an opportunity to make money. I just told you the guy who sells shoes. Where would I bought them 200K? I bought them at 60K.
Yeah.
Does that mean he made a loss?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe the other guy wanted to make.
The guy was charging you for his rent.
You look at what I want, look at how I can pay for that. And I think someone brought up that conversation regarding Chinatown. The thing is, Chinatown isn't selling low. They're selling at an optimal price. I bought it at 800, I can sell it at 1,000. In the Ugandan context, you want to buy at 800, I sell at 8,000.
That's true.
They're selling at optimal level.
Yeah, but they also got incentive.
Either way you want to look at it, you just need to go back and understand why people praise about this, these prices. Yeah. So there's an opportunity to make money, but also the challenge is that we're in a very fragmented society environment. So many players are coming into play. The shop that was going to sell at 100K probably has paid licenses and is in a structured place in a mall. What are the barriers? Professionalize your staff. Yeah. The opportunity is that you can make money, but also we're in a very fragmented space. It's now becoming a saturated market. Anyone can walk in. There's nothing you're going to do about it. You're not going to stop me from buying from a guy who is selling at 60K. Fits me. Quality-wise, size-wise, money-wise, I'll go for it.
Yeah. And what are the opportunities with the Digital Society? I've been very instrumental in founding.
We spoke about this briefly when I just walked in. There are so many digital practitioners right now. But if I asked you to just name 5 categories, you might be limited.
I will tell you podcasting for sure.
So you have podcasters, you have guys who are doing developers, you have the strategists at business level, you have bloggers. There are so many. And you realize that almost all these groups either choose to work in silos. The podcasters, for us, we just want our community of podcasters.
Which we do have actually.
Others will have their own society of bloggers. Maybe developers, WordPress developers will have their own community of WordPress developers. But then there's also Drupal. There's also other CMSs that have their own communities. It wasn't helping anyone. It wasn't helping the practitioners. It wasn't helping the public. It wasn't helping the country. So my thinking was, okay, how about we get into a space where all these people come together and we see how we move towards the same goal. The thing is, we just want to get to a place where practitioners are actually practitioners. You have podcasters who are purely in for the passion and the trendy bit of podcasting. But after 2 years, they'll disappear.
It gets hard.
They sold for it. Bloggers, someone will put up a blog, close it, open another, close it after some time, disappear. You even have bloggers who don't blog, but they're in blogging communities. You have developers who only love working with pre-designed templates, but ask them to do the coding from zero. Nothing. So we wanted to get to a place where practitioners are actually practitioners. If you're really interested, we need to help you upskill. Where can customers go for genuine stuff? Because even again, there's always been that challenge of, I need someone to do ABCD for me. Then you have to post in a WhatsApp group. Someone is looking for ABCD. Then of course the things begin, it's money, this one, nobody did ABCD, so many things. With a digital society, you know that you're going to find your podcasters here, you find your devs here, you find your business guys, the strategists, consultants here, you find the youngins, the guys who are new into the space, maybe university graduate level, maybe guys who are still doing CIM, social media community managers. You find the people in one place, and these people are all speaking one language.
Sounds like a good
We
idea.
to grow digital in this country.
And there's potential. There's stats going around town that there's over $166 million to be made in Uganda in digital.
It could even be more than that.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, there's an opportunity to make money, but
Yeah.
still you have to be professional, you have to be structured. When some of us, I just made 40 on April 16th.
Happy birthday,
Thank you.
belatedly.
Do we have cake? Do we have cake?
Unfortunately.
So when someone sees me go back to school today,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
You've always been a curious guy.
yeah. So there's that bit of, if I'm going to walk up to Minister of ICT and I want to propose a policy change, the first thing they're going to do is to try and look at my credentials before they even look at what I'm proposing. So you need to know what you're recommending, you need to know your game, you need to know how you're playing, you need to be upskilled. You have to be professional basically. So if we can push for that, we'll have Uganda Digital Society in a pretty good space. And we want to get to a point where people feel they need to join. We don't want to push people to join. We don't want the society. We want it to be a place where people feel like, oh, I think I'm missing out on this. I need to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So it's baby steps at a time, but we are getting there. We're getting there.
Okay.
The start is always difficult.
Because most people are there 9 to 5.
Yeah. It's basically voluntary work. I want to call it service. So you have to commit yourself, you have to sacrifice.
Absolutely.
But we're on a good trajectory.
No, impressive. So far, so good. We love the webinars. I think I attended the very first webinar. Very
you.
great designs, very eloquent speakers that were sharing their insights. So it's always nice to hear from professional experts sharing what they've learned along the journey. Very amazing.
What you're tapping
amazing.
when you...
I'm just going to now suggest that all podcasters try and check out the Uganda Digital Society because we are part of the digital community. And if you say it like a collective, we can get a lot more work done and professionalism out there as opposed to working in silos.
There's also opportunities come when you work in a greater communities.
Absolutely. They talked about the policy recommendation. So from where you sit, especially now as community manager, DataMine, what are the policy suggestions if there was a policymaker listening in right now? Or if you had the power right now to change one thing, what would it be?
It's digital literacy and skills development. That would be the first one. It gives me low days. When you come across a campaign that's lacking in so many places, but it was done by a person who is a digital manager. The conversation was led by people who actually understand digital for that company or brand, but yet whatever they put out misses out on so many things. What does that tell you? We either don't know who we are hiring, or we don't do enough due diligence, or we don't actually look deeper.
Or we don't have the money to afford.
That's also now another big thing, because I'll give an example of the Uganda Digital Society president, John Sinkes. He currently works at the NSSF as a digital supervisor.
Yes, we hosted him on the podcast.
He's a guy, a lot of depth. He will support you from zero to wherever you want to go. But I think it comes at a cost. Why? His experience. his time, his skilling. He's giving you all this. So I think brands also need to get to a point where they understand that if I want people who are really good at what they do, we need to make the investment. I've received a couple of job offers and not advertised, but someone reaching out to you. There's this job. Do you think you can do it? You look at it now, it's a pretty impressive brief. But then when you talk about the money, you're like,
it's an informal. Remember, our economy is not supporting that kind of expertise yet. But we'll get there. I think even now people are starting to discuss sums that were never discussed before.
Yeah, because the beauty about digital is that it's garbage in, garbage out. What you invest is what you're going to get. So if you think that investing, for example, if you want your digital person to earn 1M net or gross, whatever you're looking at, what do you expect to get out of it? Wow.
To grow with you. You expect that you grow together.
This person lives in a house. How much is average rent?
Depends on where you live.
This person eats. This person commutes from their place to your place. Have you factored that in? This person probably has a family.
I always suggest newer companies hire students or fresh out
that's
of
a challenge.
university.
You don't want university graduates because you want someone experienced. You want
But
to be able to
sometimes
run.
you can't have your cake and eat it.
That's the
Sometimes you have to then work within your means to actually get the work done.
Exactly.
Progress over perfection.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
along the way you grow together. But I really understand your worry.
So for me, one of the policy recommendations I would actually think of, even if the permanent secretary doctor was here today, it would be a digital literacy as a development. Because with that, now we know we are doing the right thing. We are working with the right people. We can now move bigger things.
And that's continuous.
It's continuous because once it's in the law, you cannot go to represent a client in court when you didn't pass certain levels of ULS, the Uganda Society or whatever frameworks guide them. For accountants, you can't practice up to a certain level if you don't have a CPA, but you have to have some kind of CPA certification.
Although some people might argue that it's not fair for underprivileged communities who can't get into, for example, Uganda Digital Society to go through the same steps that someone who had access to all these things had to go through just for them to be professional or get into some certain doors. So some people are really against the associations, the societies being legally binding for opportunities to be unlocked.
I'll speak for Uganda Digital Society. Our membership tiers are at different levels. We have people who are just interested in digital but are not digital practitioners. We have people who are being in it for a while and are supposed to mentor others. All these tiers are supposed to work in tandem. The guys who are very senior try to support the guys who are below. The guys who are below are just getting, try to learn as much as you can from these others, try to participate in activities. So it's
For
not...
example, your shoe guy, the one of 200K and the one of 60K, would you put them together?
I would. Because seeing the one of 60K would now begin to understand when you need a soda, you know you can get it at 1,000. When you're at Serena, you know it's 6 or 7K. If you want the soda, you're going to buy it, like 8 or 80. You just need to get to a point of, yes, I need this, but what's a fair price for buying something in a certain place? So if you have the 60K guy and the 200K guy in one place, they'll begin to understand each other's nuances. But this guy sells at 60K, not because he wants to undercut me. No, he doesn't have a lot of bills. The one of 60K will understand that the other guy is selling at 200K. He's paying rent probably in dollars, maybe $800 per month. The idea is to learn from each other, but also try to get professional at what we do.
Yeah.
Sometime back, I think it was 4 or 5 years back, the Boda gave me a business card. It really surprised me. I still have a card at home. And I was like, okay, this guy actually knows what he's doing. And this was before our safe border. It was before this.
And the card was for an insurance company.
It was this. I looked at the card. I looked at the guy. I'm like, wow. I've never called him, okay, since because this was me. I just want to see someone in me.
At least you are honest about it.
Yeah, but at least he took the initiative. He knew that this is a potential sale.
Yeah.
This is a potential customer. How about I give you my contact? So There's a lot to learn, there's a lot of opportunity, but again, back to the policy recommendations, I believe if we just get that thing right, if we get to a point where for you to actually be a digital practitioner for serious brands, you need to have achieved a certain level of excellence. It's not that we are cutting out people, it's not that we want to cut out people. We also want to include people, but the thing is, you can't operate a budget of 100,000 if you have not held 1,000. You don't know the responsibility. If you've not worked with a team of 5 people, how can I entrust you with a team of 10,000 people? It comes with experience, it comes with the schooling. Everyone needs to go through there are levels for everyone. The guy in the village will find somewhere where they can fit in the digital ecosystem. The guy at the Rolex stand will find ways of how they fit into the digital ecosystem. Right now, people are fighting mobile money payments, but this was the industry back years back.
Why are they fighting mobile money payments?
I don't know if you've experienced this. You get a border, when you want to pay cashless, they're like, cashless or cash? When you say cashless, they're like, I can't. They'll disappear. So there's still that fight, but years back, it wasn't this way. It was actually worse. It has now gotten better. There's more acceptance.
Yeah.
And again, that's at government level. I don't think it's going to move very, very soon, but we can just reduce it now.
People aren't accepting digital money.
But this phrase is getting better. It's getting better. Because at least right now, I know that if I went out to eat, I don't need to work with cash.
I bet you we can go on and on about marketing, you're a great storyteller. But one last question we have for every guest that comes onto this podcast. Ian, are you ready?
Should I be scared?
What do you think it's going to take for Uganda to achieve a middle-class economy by 2040?
You need strategic multi-sector reforms.
Tell me more.
So you realize that our cash or our income touch points are spread across different things, education, agriculture. So you need to really think about all this. But if I'm to look at the digital space, because it also plays a factor into that,
Absolutely.
There's a need for investment in infrastructure. You're looking at fiber, you're looking at masts, you're looking at how you push this digital connectivity to the remotest place.
Yeah. With power.
Yeah, of course, I was actually going to come to power. Because then you'll be able to now minimize on your costs of business, so you can reduce the cost of things like data. Data has actually gone down a lot, but say it could go down further. But the thing is, right now you can't blame the guys. They operate at a really huge costs. You can't really blame them. But if we go to a point where there was connectivity to the last mile, then you have pretty good chances of having that cost dropping down. And with that, we are predominantly a young country. I think our 13 to 54 age group sits at about 56% out of the entire population. I think the working is the active demographic. If we could also find ways of tapping into that as our digital savvy workforce. People talk about Gen Zs a lot. We've had challenges with Gen Zs, but this is your workforce, they're digital savvy.
They're the ones coming into the workforce.
And you just now need to understand them. They're your digital savvy workforce. You need to find ways of them tapping into whatever you're doing.
Leverage their potential.
Yes.
They're always on their phones, they're always searching for things, finding solutions.
This starts from the recent US election. It was actually a youth-led win for Trump.
Trump was on over 20 podcasts, Kamala Harris was only on 8.
These guys might have their own issues, but it doesn't mean that they don't have good sides to them. So now we need to look at what can we tap from these guys. Our median age is 16. So that means look at 5 years. After 16, look at 10 years. Those are the guys we need to be engaging with. There needs to be deliberate efforts to push for that inclusion.
Deliberate. How deliberate would they be?
You know it all well. I don't usually like talking about Rwanda, but it's a good benchmark because it's in the same region. Very deliberate about whatever they do. It might be the size of what of Kampala or Akiso, but the amount of engagement they have whenever they announce something. You go back and look at who is actually at the Rwanda Development Board. Who is in the Rwanda tourism thingy? Who are the guys behind the BK Arena? You look at young people.
Yeah.
It's a deliberate move. It has to be deliberate. Our youngest minister, I don't know what the age is, Most of these things have to be really deliberate political will. And again, we need to move away from looking at short-term wins and look at long-term reforms. Because short-term wins, you're looking at the next election. Whatever you do will be around exciting people around those 5 years, benefiting people around those 5 years.
With the youth of the majority of our listeners on the podcast.
Yeah.
Although now we're starting to get
identify as a Gen Z also.
plus on a good day. Sometimes we have 55 plus, but it's nice to see quite different ages are listening. But thank you so much, Ian. You have shared quite a lot of insights. I can't summarize all of them, but I know Patriot is going to pick up one or two from this conversation. And we wish you the best of luck with Uganda Digital Society and all the other endeavors you have, consulting and continuing to mentor our digital workforce.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Long time coming.
Yeah.
I have a presence, I think, across a couple of networks, but for these conversations, I want to focus mainly on LinkedIn and the X. And it's the same name, Ian Kiryowa, same photos, same handles.